Hi folks, and welcome to Gene's Aches and Games, a relaxed monthly check-in between two slightly older British friends talking life, gaming, and whatever other nonsense comes to mind. We've got a jam-packed show for you this month, where we'll be sharing what we've been doing, watching and playing. Plus, we'll cover the main news of the moment and highlight any upcoming releases of note. And remember, if you want to jump straight to the games, or any other section of the show for that matter, there are timestamps in the descriptions of this and every episode, so you can do just that. Of course, we'd love every person to listen to every minute of every show, but we know you're busy people, so we won't judge you if you skip around. Well, maybe a bit. Outside of these episodes, we'll find us on social media, on our Facebook page by searching Aches and Games. I'm Giles Nicholson, Giles West on socials, Xbox and PlayStation. Joining me as always is my good friend James Hoops. Hi James, how's it going?
Yeah, good evening, Giles. We think it's going well, don't we? It's changed a little bit on our recording platform, and there's no percentage figure anymore. Yeah. So we're hoping it's going to record, but if it doesn't, then oh well, it's been a nice chat regardless. So yeah, I'm James, Giles' school friend from a long, long time ago. James Boy 1978 on PlayStation Network and other places. And I do a lot of stuff on the website and TikTok and Facebook and all the other bits and pieces. We'll talk more about the website later because there's lots of new stuff on it. So that'll be very exciting when we come to that section. So good evening. Hope you're all well, and let's have a great show.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder, James, because like you said, we've got some good new stuff up on that website, so check it out, folks. Before we get to that, James, what have you been up to this month?
Loads of things. It seems like a long time. Sometimes it feels like minutes between podcasts, and this time it seems like months/years. Very odd, very odd. But it was, what month was it? May, wasn't it? Yeah, or June. Yeah, May. So we had half term, we had Joshua's birthday, and we had our half-term holiday to Mallorca. So that was very nice. We spent a week in Mallorca during half-term week, and Joshua was rebirthed when he was out there. He turned 11. Bless him as he gets older. We've been to Mallorca a couple of years ago with the same people. So our friend Helen and Chris and their daughter Isla, we met up with a couple of years ago out there. Used to work with Helen many years ago, and it's nice. It gives Joshua a friend to play with, and means we don't have to be such responsible parents the whole time. So they can just bugger off and do some things, and we can hope they're all right. So that's nice. The weather was good. Pool was very cold again. The pool in Mallorca always seems very cold, regardless of what time of year you go. So there's no escaping that one. But it did have a spa, and the spa was warm. So it was a heated indoor spa with a little hot tub in there and a little cold plunge pool and steam room and all that spa type jazz. That was fun. One benefit, which I posted about on social media, is that you had to spend €3.50 on a little blue hat thing. Look, a sort of a blue fairy condom type thing that you had to have on your head. I'm assuming to stop hair falling into the spa. But I went to pay for my hat, and he said, "Oh no, don't worry about it." So there's a final benefit of being follically challenged after all these years. Cuts money on haircuts, and it means you don't have to buy a blue pool condom to get into the spa in New York. So if any of you are equally follically challenged out there, I can recommend the Pla Maya Spa and whatever it's called hotel. Very good.
Yeah, if you're only an audio listener, it's fair to say neither host has a great deal of hair on the top of our head, but we like to think what we lack in hair, we make up for in sparkling repartee, as you hopefully have to see for the next 50 odd minutes.
If you are watching live, if you turn our heads upside down, then we do have hair because we're both sporting some stubble tonight, especially Giles and his very stubbly, blimey, very rugged man. So Mallorca was good, had a good time, lots of kids club stuff, lots of. We went to a water park as well. We haven't been to a water park for many years, so that was good fun. I went down some slides. I was doing a little simulation of a slide there in my hand, if you can't see it. And the water park was good, but the very first slide I went on, I tweaked my back because I'm incredibly old, and that's what old people do when they attempt any kind of physical activity, is tweak their back. So I survived one of about 10 different slides, made it home alive, and here we are. So that was our big thing, Mallorca. Joshua also went to Cornwall with a school for 5 nights. We went to loads of different places. We did some good stuff. And we met up together, didn't we, and had a lads' night.
We did, yes. And it was, we've sort of fallen into a bit of a go wherever there's unlimited food in our catch-ups, haven't we? So previously, and we talked about a wings night. This time it was, I think it was technically, was it taco? Or no, tapas.
Tapas, yeah.
Tapas Thursday. Tapas Tuesday, Tapas Thursday. It was tapas, whatever day we ended up going. It had a tea in it.
Yeah.
And it was surprisingly varied and good. I don't really know how they made any money off us, particularly because you and Scotty really hit the all you can drink drinks upgrade as well.
Yeah, it's like 15 quid, wasn't it, for the tapas options, which is good. It's unlimited tapas for 90 minutes. So I think we all managed to get a good share of tapas down our gullets. But also, like Joel said, me and Scotty went for the upgrade for the drinks because we weren't working the next day. No, well, actually, I wasn't working the next day, but Scotty was. He had an important presentation early in the morning. There we go. I hope he was fine. Hopefully it went well. And that was a £20 upgrade. You can have unlimited cocktails. So we had like 8 cocktails each and had a lovely time. So very good. And it was so good that me and Sarah actually went back 3 days later and also had a tapas special, but without the drinks because we were driving home.
Nice.
Interestingly, though, you mentioned they weren't going to make a profit, and they probably didn't because the day after me and Sarah went, they said, we're not doing it anymore. They've cancelled it. So it's done.
Wow. We've destroyed their whole business model in 2 trips. Oh,
yeah. They said 2 bald men came in the other day and ate all their profits, so they can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Keep an eye out for them. Okay, we'll need to find a new bottomless buffet somewhere else. Sounds like a load of fun. Sounds like a busy month. We had something similar. I mean, obviously without kids, we didn't quite enjoy the half term in the same way, but we enjoyed both bank holidays this month. So first bank holiday, like you said, it does feel like ages ago. I think with the way that the podcast falls, sometimes it's 4 weeks, sometimes it's 5, but still it seems like more than a week's difference. I don't know how it works. We spent the first one after sort of kind of safari type experience in the UK, but at a place called Port Lympne, which is linked to a charity called the Aspinall Foundation. So they've got loads of rescue or endangered animals, and it's set up much like a safari. So we stayed in some luxury tents, which was very nice. Had a lovely dinner, a braai, South African style braai with our fellow safari guests, and saw giraffes, although not roaming around in the open, which was the plan because it was too cold for the poor things. But we did see them close up, which was also very cool, and loads of other animals. So that was our first trip. All I would say is, however luxury the tent is and however much there's a heater at the start of May, camping can be a bit chilly. As I think you had one of those experiences back in the day, didn't you, James? I could see you shaking your head.
Yeah, well, one of our friends is called Alex, and his wife, who's also our friend, is called Helen. And they used to do Helen Fest once a year to celebrate her birthday. I think she had it for her 30th birthday. They've done it every year since. They went to the first one, but it was so, testicle shatteringly cold that we barely made it through the night alive. It was nice, but never been since because it's far too cold, and Sarah doesn't like cold or tents.
Well, that's 2 good reasons not to go, and you share that feeling with the giraffes. You'll be pleased to hear because they also are not so fans of cold. Or tent. Yeah, you need a really tall one. It's a bit awkward. And even for a normal sized human, it's quite hard to find a tent that you don't have to bend over constantly. And so, yeah, I think that's probably quite tough for a giraffe, actually. They must have horrible back problems. Oh, no, it's the neck. Anyway.
Yeah.
There's all much of it.
Hard to drive a car as well, being a giraffe.
Convertibles only, presumably.
Yeah. Hey, you remember that meme, whereabouts does a giraffe wear their tie? It was fascinating, wasn't it?
No.
If you're a giraffe, would you wear your tie at the top of the neck or at the bottom of the shaft?
Oh, what's your answer to this? Have you got an answer? Have you been thinking about it?
There is a good answer. I've never seen a real giraffe wearing a tie. Hopefully I will do before my life expires. But
fingers crossed. I can confirm that none of the giraffes at the place were wearing neckties as far as they were.
Interesting.
Although if it was at the top, maybe I just didn't see it. But
yeah.
Who knows? Excellent. We've digressed nice and early today. Just quickly, the other bank holiday trip for us is at the New Forest, which is a group of friends. And so it was me, Hannah, and then 2 families, 4 each. I have a newfound appreciation for the start of Home Alone, having seen 2 families trying to get ready in the morning for checkout and people running around in opposite directions, sort of shouting things to each other. And I genuinely can see now why they managed to leave one of them behind. I thought that was a plot plot hole in that film originally, but no, it's just being a parent, I think. So that aside, it was a very pleasant weekend. We did have an interesting host who's decided to follow up on my feedback by emailing me for the sort of follow-up rebuttals and things, which is a bit odd, particularly because it was quite a good review, but obviously wasn't quite what she wanted. So that was a shame. And then we did an escape room with my family this weekend, which was really good fun, although not the best day to do an escape room. It was swelteringly hot, although it was Egyptian themed, so, sort of on brand.
I'm assuming you escaped.
We did. Officially, we escaped in 59 minutes 02. I'm calling bull on that, which I may choose to edit out. But it deserves it because we got the 10 minutes to go warning at least 15 minutes before we finished. I think she was just very conscious that apart from me and one of the kids, everyone else, it was their first time doing an escape room, or nearly everyone else, actually. And so, yeah, I think it was clever PR to give us the win to hopefully get people back. And lastly, sorry, God, we've done loads. We went to see Kylie at the O2 on Monday.
Oh, wow.
Well, indeed, she did play that one. And lots of other of her hits. And it would have been a massive party and would have been really good fun. My musical taste is eclectic, as you'll find out if you listen to the next few episodes, because we've got some good different concerts coming up. But unfortunately, I have been rather poorly the last few weeks, as listeners might be about to hear if I go into a coughing fit. So I had to do it on water rather than any kind of alcohol, which, based on some of the people around us, I think alcohol helped the enjoyment. But it was still really fun. And yeah, she's a great performer.
Oh, she's a legend, is Kylie. Was she in the hot pants or no hot pants these days?
I don't think that's a very good question. There were no hot pants specifically. There were a number of outfits that they were very. I feel like I'm not going to ever get into a fashion podcast because now I'm trying to describe. There was what I believe was a jumpsuit at one point.
Nice.
On a very sort of spooky orchestral and then slightly metal version of Confide in Me. She had a big goth like cape, which was quite cool. Sort of plasticky trouser suity thing with a diagonally dress thing over it. I would describe that as and something else, some red short thing, but it wasn't quite hot pants. So I think that covers all the outfits. But
yeah, impressive.
Yeah. There you go, your fashion correspondent.
On that subject, there was entertainment every night in Mallorca. Some of it was very good, some of it less very good. So we had some people doing acrobatics the first night, jumped through hoops. That was fun. It's fine. We had a karaoke night. Some were really good, and some were singing French songs in French and weren't very good. Kind of put me off a little bit where I didn't understand any of it and never heard of the song, and they were awful as well. And also there was a Lady Gaga tribute act called Edge of Glory. And it started off badly. She came out in a costume and a big wig and some kind of outfit with two dancers in sort of a gold lame outfits. Looked a little bit camp, as you would expect from a Lady Gaga tribute act dance troupe. But annoyingly, there was lots of feedback on the microphone. The first song was literally just entirely feedback and two people dancing around with this woman in the middle, looking a bit perplexed by the whole thing. And I thought she was going to get booed off and leave, but she gradually improved. But she wasn't the finest Lady Gaga tribute act I've ever seen. Well, in fact, she was, because I've never seen another Lady Gaga tribute act. So she was in my top one of Lady Gaga tribute acts, but also the worst. So that's interesting. So entertainment's always good. Only other thing I wanted to comment on this month was we went to Waterperry Gardens, which is near Tame. That's very nice. Me and Sarah went there when Josh was in Cornwall to make the most of the child-free time, apart from spending the rest of it at work. And I also, as you know, guested on another podcast.
Yeah, traitor.
Yeah. So the Veteran Gamers podcast are having their 800th episode, which is crazy. They do theirs weekly, but it's still 800 weeks worth of podcasts, which is a lot of weeks. Yeah, so fair play to them.
Yeah.
And I invited anyone on that was a regular listener to feature on the podcast. I was on there for a couple of hours and had a nice time and advertised our podcast as much as possible. So that went well. So anyone who's watching this or listening to this based on that, then thank you and welcome.
Yeah,
including Fraser. Fraser we mentioned a few weeks ago, but I didn't realise who he was at the time when he watched one of our episodes and commented on Facebook. And now I realised he's one of them, and I do know who he is, and I just forgot. There we go. So hi, Fraser. Thank you.
Fantastic. We did get a little uptick of views on a series of our videos. So if anyone is new, we certainly welcome you to pod, and hopefully we're doing our best to keep you coming back. Well, you can be the judge. Just give us a bit more. We'll try really hard. Right. Anything you've seen this month that you want to talk about, James?
Oh, in a TV sense of things, I mentioned last.
Anything you've seen just in the street, if you like.
I've seen many things. I've seen some sites, blimey. I can't repeat them on a podcast. So I mentioned last month, didn't I, that You was about to start. And we had some great bands about You and You being on You. And but it's very good. So it's the final season. The last season, the last two seasons, we've kind of forgotten about. They did a big recap at the start of this season, and we'd completely forgotten about the last two seasons entirely. So they obviously weren't that great. But this season was really good, and it all worked towards a very interesting finale, which I won't give away, obviously, because you've still not watched it at all. But the finale is really good, and it really brought the whole 5 or 6 series together in a very dramatic finale. So we enjoyed that one. So it was really good. Enjoyed watching that one. Below Deck Australia is back on now, which is one of our favourite Below Deck series. That's, for our regular listeners, is where you have a yacht crew that take out eccentric groups of guests in fun places, and then they all fall in love with each other and have lots of chaos and fall off boats and stuff. So always entertaining, the Below Deck series. So watch that one. New series of The Rookie just come out, so we got back into that one. And I think the new series of Criminal Minds just come out in the UK now. There's one episode showing on Disney Plus, so we'll have a look at that one as well. But apart from that, not much TV, because we're away watching the sunshine and people having fun on the Mediterranean Sea, and me drinking bucket loads of mojitos, literally bucket loads, ridiculous amounts of mojitos. Very extensive cocktail menu. They had 9 or 10 different cocktail on the all-inclusive, but mojitos were the best. So yeah,
nice. If we hear that place has stopped doing all-inclusives after your holiday, we might have to start seeing the common denominator there.
Yeah, so I would say that if you enjoy condom hats, if you enjoy mojitos, and if you enjoy bang average Lady Gaga tribute acts, that's a place for you.
Wow. Your career in marketing awaits.
Yeah, similar to your career in fashion design.
Perfect. It's never too late. Never too late. We've been watching quite a lot. Lots of returning favourites as well. Race Across the World, Taskmaster, Welcome to Rex and Clarkson's Farm. Talked about all of those before. But they're all back, seemingly. I kind of had in my mind that was like a September thing when those shows came back and it was really busy. But seemingly, sort of May, June is also a big peak for new shows. Finished off the football season, so watched some Champions League to mixed results as an Arsenal fan. The Inter versus Barcelona semi-final I thought was worth calling out. It wasn't our one, our semi-final. Slightly, it's still good, but PSG, bless them, they're a hell of a team, aren't they? But yeah, Barca versus Inter, the semi-final, one of the best games of football, one of the best 2 legs of football I think I've ever watched. It was phenomenal. As well as that, I wanted to recommend The Penguin, which is on Now TV in the UK or Sky. It's on HBO. Soon to be it's on Max. Soon to be HBO Max again, I think, because the branding people are idiots over there at Warner Brothers. But it's a spin-off for the Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman film with Robert Pattinson. And that's good because the sequel to that film there's going to be about 5 years after I think it's actually more, after the first film came out. So this kind of fills the gap. But it's not superheroes-y at all. It's based around the Penguin, who's kind of lowish level organised crime sort of henchman, really, in the first film. Also a Cobblepot, and it's a turf war, a good old organised crime turf war type show. Just really well done. It doesn't overstay its welcome. 8 episodes. Colin Farrell is amazing, completely unrecognisable in all his makeup. Christine Milioti, I want to say. She was in Palm Springs, but she's fantastic. And it's just really grounded, really psychological, really good. really good. I don't think they're going to do a second one because it doesn't make sense. It just makes sense to bridge the two films. But the last episode in particular just nailed it. It was so perfect. It was just such a good show. So anyway, if you do subscribe to Now for a while, maybe to catch The Last of Us at some point in the future, highly recommend The Penguin. And speaking of Last of Us, I have now seen 3 of the 7 episodes of the second season.
Cool.
We talked about it last week. No spoilers, although if you've played the game, you kind of know what's coming. And yeah, episode 2 was excellent. The thing happened. They did it very well, slightly differently to the game. And so far it's been so good. But I've heard kind of mixed things about the ending, and there's only 7 episodes in the show. So I'll update next month, perhaps. James, you're Skyless, aren't you, or Nowless? So you won't get to see it for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it if I wanted to, but I don't want to pay, so I don't want to enough. But like I said, it sounds good. Bella Ramsey is now appearing in Soccer Aid this year, apparently. So
that's cool.
It's fun for her. Fun for them, although she doesn't mind being called her, as I read in the interview. And yeah, they said some parts were quite dramatic, some parts were not quite so exciting. And yeah, looking forward to it. Probably watch it soon. We've watched everything else and got a few quid to put together. But yeah, at least there's a gaming reference in there, Charles. So well done for bringing it almost back on track.
Thank you. Well, I always watch the clock ticking up as we're doing our first section, and I think I'll scrap my film reviews because we don't need this episode. But yeah, it's not just random chaos. We do kind of vaguely try and plan some kind of consistency from section to section. So given that we're talking James games, James, shall we go into what we've been playing?
Yes. Do you want to start with the thing that we used to call Game of the Month, but now we don't?
Very nice. Yes, let's do that. Yeah. So Game of the Month, I'm afraid, listeners, is no more. But fear not, we've just decided that sort of it wasn't really always each of our favourite Game of the Month, so it was a bit kind of misleading, although the whole idea was just a game a month. But B, we wanted to reflect what it is, which is... well, what we're calling it from now on is the Sub Club. So welcome to the first pick from the Sub Club, because it's always a game that we choose from one of the 2 main subscriptions. So either Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. The idea is that then it's a low barrier of entry, low cost of entry for any of you guys to listen, to play along, and to give us our thoughts. Obviously, the games are available to purchase if you're not into the whole subscription thing, but we're old cheapskates, so we kind of love it. And so, yeah, our pick for last month, we do play at least 4 hours is the only specification. And as James pointed out, when we kind of set up that, yeah, that's completely arbitrary. we just needed to force ourselves to play enough of a game if it wasn't our sort of thing to be able to talk about it. So 4 hours a month. Although sometimes we go a lot longer. And I think this month's game, which was Atomfall, I think both of us invested a fair bit. What did you think of it, James?
Yeah, we both went very deep, I think. Just a little point. If you've come here to watch this based on the hashtag subclub, it's about gaming. Just saying.
Different thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, welcome, but just to manage your expectations.
Yeah, if you're surprised by the first 10, 20 minutes, then just turn off and go and watch some other dodgy stuff. Good. Subscription services games. Atomfall. I really enjoyed it. Oh, he says he's got flipping in his ears. Oh, blimey. For those who didn't listen to last month or hadn't seen the game, it's to do with the North. And something happens in the North many years ago. This is back in like the 60s, 40s, 50s, 30s. The old
60s.
days. Before we were born, 60s, good. And sort of a meteor lands on Earth. And then scientists up there close the whole section off and start harnessing its powers of intense learning, etc. But then it goes a bit Pete Tong, unfortunately, and they start getting sort of strange diseases and infections and strange things growing in different places. So they close it all off and turn it into a big quarantine zone, and different parts are managed by different people. So some are managed by the military, some are sort of taken over by druids, some are taken over by outlaws, and there's different sections to go through, and your big aim is to try and escape from the quarantine zone. You sort of start off not knowing where you are or who you are, as games so often do these days. You get given a key card by a scientist, and then you're pretty much left on your own to explore the landscape around the sort of Lake District type part of the world, and the aim is to try and escape. Charles, you took a little bit because my headset is annoying me, so I'm going to unplug it. So carry on.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. So yeah, when James said the north there, we do have international listeners. So as he pointed out, it's the Lake District north of the UK. In terms of the game, I'll describe it as a compact but open world first person investigate 'em up. Because although it's sort of an RPG and it's kind of a shooter, it's more of a brawler really when it gets to combat, which I'm sure we'll talk about. You tend to be bashing people with things, again, nothing to do with Subclub. But then you also have to solve the riddle, like James said, of kind of who you are, why you're there, and what happened. Although we might have just talked about that quite a lot, so I think that's not obvious right at the start of the game. But spoiler warning in retrospect. Is your headphones working better now, James? Because I'm happily going. Do you want me to throw back to you, and then I'll sort out what I thought of the game?
Yeah, cool. I enjoyed the game. In a very brief summary, so I like the environment. It's very nice and pretty. You don't get that many games set in Britain, and they really did ham up the Britishness in different places. Sort of British insults and some of the occasional murmurings by the soldiers were related to sort of English towns and different things. Like one of the comments was, "It's so boring here. I almost wish I was back home in Swindon," which I quite enjoyed because I also hate Swindon, being from Reading. And little things like that. This sort of graffiti on the walls is quite British, and some of its low-level insults is quite fun. And it's all very green and pleasant, apart from the things growing in different places and the lots of baddies creeping around trying to shoot you. So I enjoyed the exploration side of it. One of the good things is you can pick the type of way you want to play the game. So at the start, and any time in the game, you can choose a different kind of role. So one of the roles is the investigator role. So I went for that one, which means the combat's a lot easier than average. But the investigation side of things is the hard one. So it doesn't give you many waypoints on the maps. You have to discover everything yourself and stroll around aimlessly trying to find clues and take stuff forward in lots of different quests. But the combat's a lot easier. And these days, I'm getting a bit older. I can't be arsed with killing lots of people over and over again. So I prefer just to give them a couple of quick whacks and wander on to the next bit of questing. I prefer the story these days and whacking people generally. So that was good that you can choose that part of it. Some parts were a bit irritating. There are some really difficult parts, which can be a bit annoying. You have to play them a few times to actually get out of it. But I enjoyed all the side quests. You can pick lots of different factions. I've already mentioned the Druids. I've already mentioned the military. I've already mentioned the Outlaws. There's also lots of different other people knocking around, like scientists and all kinds of things. And each one tries to drag you into their little bit as a means of escape. So I say, well, if you team up with me and do these different quests for me, then I can help you escape at the end. And throughout the game, you can start off by keeping everyone on side and doing lots of quests for everyone. But then at some stage, you have to decide which way you want to go, because who you team up with affects how you finish the game off. So each ending is similar because you all end up in the same place. And you do a similar thing, but the way you do it and the actual tactic you use to end the game is different. And then depending on which method you chose, you will kind of leave with this character at the end. That's the only downside. The ending was really good, but the actual physical tiny last bit of the ending was pretty underwhelming. The person I chose to leave with, you sort of just have a chat at the end, you walk out the door, and that's kind of it. You're like, oh, okay. That was a bit disappointing after 18 hours of effort. But the game itself I really enjoyed. Combat, like I said, is fine. You can whack people, you can shoot people. Lots of upgrades, you can get upgrades so you're more radiation tolerant or more fire tolerant or more burn tolerant, because there's lots of different radiation and burns and fires knocking about the gaff. So I enjoyed all of that side of things. But yeah, I enjoyed it. 8 out of 10 for me. So one of the more interesting games I've played over the years. Like I said, like the Britishness, like the plot, like the voice acting, that was fine. Graphics were good. Good.
Yep,
Done.
And quite a similar experience from my side. It's in Game Pass, by the way, folks. So if you've got that subscription, you can try it out yourself. And it's available to buy on all the other platforms. Yeah, I'd probably go 7. I think best things about it, quite similar. I also finished it. I also felt a bit underwhelmed by my ending, and then looked up the other endings and thought, they're all none of them are. I don't feel I got the wrong one, and it would have been a completely different experience with one of the other choices. I don't think any of them were particularly stunning. Although I agree with you, the last um, gameplay, the last thing that you do, was very exciting.
Yeah.
I think downsides, I felt a bit lost quite a lot of the time, missing key items. But then I was doing the investigator thing, which I also really enjoyed, not being sort of handheld to follow a bright yellow line or something to go and find my next item. Difficulty spike, same for me. And honestly, I think I would have given it a 7, and somewhere around, I finished about 18 hours also. Somewhere around the 14-hour mark, I think I was probably done. But being a stubborn ox, felt like it was pretty close to the end. And felt like I should carry on. So, I think, I can't remember if that was your choice or my choice, James, but it was certainly an interesting game to play and enjoyed it. And I think we've both got lots of other interesting games that we've been playing this month, by the looks of it.
Yeah, the only thing I was saying Atomfall was I might have just missed it, but I was hoping that by the end of the game you work out who you were and why you were there and how you got there. But I can't remember working it out, and that annoyed me.
I think you're right.
I escaped at the end, but I didn't know who I was and why I was there. So that would have helped me out a bit, I think. Yeah, so that annoyed me. Anyway, moving on. 8 out of 10, good game. Very British, loved it. Played lots of other things. I think we both did a couple of them. Certainly Claire Obscure, we both started off, I believe.
Yep.
Really good game. Graphically very awesome. Obviously lots of rave reviews about it and massive sales figures as well. I think in the first 33 days it sold 3.3 million copies, which is a good effort. Considering it was also free on Game Pass, which meant obviously you don't count those as being sales. So obviously loads and loads more people than that have played it because it's for free on Game Pass. Surprised 3.3 million people have actually paid for it. So obviously they're all on PlayStation. So yeah, good effort. I kind of assume in my mind that everyone's got one of each and everyone's on every subscription service. But obviously there's some real people out there who just buy games in real life. Bizarre. Graphically very good. The story is very interesting. It doesn't give too much away because it's literally in the first 20 minutes you find out that there's a paintress who is a thing, and once a year she or it or they change the number. It gets one lower every year. So years and years ago it started off at 100, now it's moved down to 33, hence why it's called Claire Obscure Expedition 33. And everyone of that age is wiped out on one night called the Gommage, which is a bit weird. So you sort of have a chat with all the characters, then you go down to the docks, and then the number changes, and then people sort of disappear into sort of rose petals, which is pretty and half emotional. But then you sort of go, oh well, and then you go off and have a pint with someone else and have a chat and start walking around different stores, and you're like, that's pretty weird. But then you start the quest, get on with it, and then I really enjoyed it after that. So it's sort of turn-based combat, which I'm not that common with doing. That takes a bit getting used to because you can block and you can dodge and you can parry, but you've got to be quite well timed to get the parries and the dodging right, otherwise you get even more damage inflicted on you. So I found it quite a challenge at first, but then got into it. And the adventure part's nice. You come across lots of monsters and different types of baddies, which is fun. You find different bits, you go through different places, you do lots of fun stuff. It's French. It's kind of independent. I think it's some people who left another gaming house on it and set up the new little company to make this game, which is fun.
Yeah, they say there are 30 people from, or the team is 30, and the leads from Ubisoft. And they pitched it internally, and Ubisoft thought it was too weird or not worth investing in. So they're kicking themselves now. But 30 people on the main team, and then they've got various other software houses helping out.
Yeah, so some of the characters are really interesting. They're all French. They're all different ages. A lot of the people that go on, you sort of go on an expedition each year to try and defeat the paintress to stop her wiping out all your pals. And most people on the expedition have only got like 1 year left to live before they're wiped out next year. So they go off on the expedition to try and do this fighting thing. But there's another girl on it called Maëlle, who's only 16, bless her. But she really wants to make a difference and explore the life outside of her little world, because I think their little part of the world got separated and bombed out into the ocean, so they can't go anywhere else. Which took me a bit of a while to understand, because I thought at first, if all your friends and family get wiped out at that age, why don't you just hop on a dinghy and go over to the UK or somewhere else where you don't get wiped out, but obviously they're out in the middle of the ocean and can't leave, kind of. So interesting, and also carries on the theme, which is a little bit weird, in that in lots of really awesome games, there's always a lead female character, and they're always about 15, 16. Never quite understood it. Male lead characters are always sort of 20s, 30s, a bit more rugged. Female lead characters are always 15, 16. Never understand it. But there we go. Just a little bit of trivia there that I can never quite work out. Why would you make a lead character 15, 16 in every single game?
Yeah. Are you thinking, well, I guess the Plague Tale games, especially because of the French
Yeah.
connection, was quite similar to Amicia, isn't it? But
The Last of Us study was obviously very young.
Last of Us, yeah, true.
Yeah, it's weird.
I guess God of War, at least, yeah, it's Kratos and his son rather than daughter. And he's a bit younger, so
Yeah. Horizon Zero Dawn, she's very young again.
yeah, true. You're making it. I'm starting to worry it's a bit creepy, so I think we're going to move on. Not us being creepy.
Yeah. No.
Game, not this time, but game developers. But maybe it's something about protecting a.
Yeah, that's what I think it's more of.
Yeah, sort of giving an investment in the story. And yeah, I'm fully invested in the story. I've not played very much. I've just defeated, I think, the first sort of big boss out in the real world or the sort of main world. And really, it's very French, but it's very much modelled on the sort of classic RPGs of the past, the Final Fantasies, and yeah, that combo of turn-based and sort of prompt-based combat. I'm really enjoying, but yeah, I feel like I could really do with a short game after a lot of very long story-based games. So yeah, I was a bit reluctant to start it, but now that I have, I'm sure I'll be playing that one for a while too.
It's weird in that they say these swear words in French, but then they say most of the other script in English. Never understand why. Again, it just sort of comes up in a French swear word and looks they stay, and you're like, oh, okay.
It is strange, but somehow charming.
Yes, lots of mad.
Not so bad.
Popular French word. Anyway, continue. So.
That's right. Yeah. Well, a quick one for me, because I don't want to dwell on it because it's a bit of a negative. I played Lost Records Tape 2 after your recommendation.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
You may have seen my notes, which is quite short, which is good because I'm about to cough. I put meh.
Yeah, which also sounds French, but yeah, it's not mad, it's meh. But yeah, we had different opinions on it. I thought it was much better than the first one, but obviously you started off half enjoying it, but then obviously tailed off, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was fine. It was a fine out of 10. The other quick one I wanted to mention was a ridiculous game called Mullet Mad Jack, which is also on Game Pass, and that was partly in response to my craving for something stupid and short. It really is both of those things. It's a sort of 80s styled synthwave soundtracked first-person roguelike, where your heart, for reasons, is connected up to your social media. So you need people to like what you're doing, otherwise you die. You have, I think, 8 to 10 seconds of life, and people like it when you kill people. It's not very grisly. It's kind of comic style, a bit manga style. But yeah, your 10 seconds get reset every time you kill. And I definitely didn't want another roguelike because we're playing one at the moment, which I'll come to. But those quick hits of silliness, the soundtrack, the stylishness of it was a really nice little palate cleanser between all the big epicness. James, over to you.
Yeah, I also talked last month about a game called Undertale, which I started to play last month. So I continue with that one, which is good of me, and I actually finished Undertale. So Undertale's quite an old game, very much sort of 90s, like fairly retro graphics. There's not really any animation to speak of. It's just, yeah, you play through it. You do different puzzles to get from one room to another, which I quite like. You can make progress. Lots of save points, which I like. Roguelike games always annoy me, so it's nice to have lots of save points everywhere that you can just carry on from there. You can pick up different items to help you along in defeating different people. You're sort of in a world of monsters. You're a human, and the humans and monsters have fallen out. And if somehow you drop down a hole and fall into the world of monsters and have to try and get back out again into the human part of the world. And there's lots of moral dilemmas in it, which you don't realise when you start playing. Because when you start playing, you kind of just kill everyone you come into contact with because that's what you assume you do in a video game. And then when it comes towards the end, then the number of people you sort of killed along the way impacts on how the game sort of follows on towards the end. And different people are disappointed in you for having killed lots of their friends and family. And you feel a bit bad about it. And then you sort of rethink about how you could have played the game differently and got a different way through it. Then you only got a big moral choice as to whether you want to sort of sacrifice yourself to save the monster world or whether you want to just carry on killing everyone and disappear back to the human world. So interesting ending, good game, good level of challenge. Some of the end bosses are quite tricky. The combat system's very odd, and then you sort of get a little box and you have to like avoid targets that are running towards you rather than actually do any proper combat stuff. That's interesting. Enjoyed it, finished it. Interesting game. Again, probably another 7.5, 8 out of 10. Bit of a classic. Interesting. So yeah, again, quite short and sweet.
Nice. And although it's old, it is quite timely because the follow-up Deltarune, I think it's called, it had the first 2 chapters released a long time ago and then kind of nothing. And they've just released chapters 3 and 4, which make it a final product on Steam this week, I think, and it's doing really well. So yeah, if you haven't played Undertale and you want to see what all the fuss is about before getting into Deltarune, then that's maybe good timing. Awesome. Well, we mentioned roguelikes. We're going to go long today, listeners, so just bear with us. But the other thing I've been playing, and I've played now just under 30 hours of, because weirdly, just as we got to the credits, which I won't describe as the end, of Blueprints, which was our game of the month last month, we checked our playtime. I say we because Fanny and I are playing together, and it was 29 hours 46 minutes. Day 19, we got to the credits. There's plenty more to do. We might well do some of it, although it did feel such a sort of finale to get to the credits. It sort of feels like the perfect time to roll off, so we'll have a think. But yeah, really, really enjoyed Blueprints. I listened back, or rather, we were doing the clips for last episode. I think you were saying, no way, no game of the year for me. That's my impression of you, by the way.
Yeah, you're the excellent.
It was uncanny. It's somewhere between you and Ray Winston, I think. Similar look. And I was saying, yeah, I'm enjoying it, but it hasn't quite clicked. Boy, did it click for me, and I think for us. So I would say first 5 hours was sort of interesting. 5 to 20, just things started clicking and really working. And we've had so much fun playing it together, doing the journal, solving puzzles. We've not looked anything up. We've mostly managed to avoid any spoilers. Feel quite pleased with ourselves when we managed to crack something. And then we had a little lull in the early 20-hour mark, and it felt like, I think we're coming up against the random nature of it now. We know what we need to do and we can't do it. But just as that might have started to get tedious, again, we had a bit of a breakthrough, and the last few hours, last few runs, knowing exactly what we were trying and having some more tools to do it was just super fun. So best thing about that game, it is so clever, constantly discovering new stuff. I'd say the worst thing about it is either the random nature of the rooms, which can be frustrating, but I think really genuinely the worst thing about it for me is you can't save it mid-run, which drives me mad. But thanks to Xbox, because I was playing on Xbox for Quick Regime. And it is now very much in my contention for Game of the Year. Did you guys bounce off it, or have you played a bit of it this month as well?
No, bounced right off it. We only played it together, so we haven't really played anything together since, because we've been on different shifts and doing everything else. So not the time. Interestingly, Chinny from the Veteran Gamers podcast said that his final run was one of his most euphoric ever parts of a video game, which I was surprised.
Interesting.
It didn't seem that exciting, but he said when everything fell into place on the last run, it was like building up the heart rate as you went to the last little bit, and there was an extra little bit that you didn't think there was going to be another bit. And yeah, so I'd like to get to the end eventually if me and Sarah get the spare 20 hours between now and the end of our lives, but we'll see. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. And I think you've got one more, haven't you, before we move on?
Yeah, my last little one was Dredge. We wanted to play Dredge for many years, and I think it came back on some kind of PlayStation Plus tier last month, maybe the month before, who knows. But I played that. It's good. It's meant to be sort of a horror fishing game, isn't it, kind of? And you have a little boat. You start off in a little new village that you arrive at. The previous fisherman has disappeared under mysterious circumstances or left, and you get given the task by the mayor of being the new fisherman. So you get given a little trawler after you've trashed your one, And then you go out and find little wavy bits of the sea, and you put your rod down and catch some fish using a little mini game, which is quite fun. You bring it back and sell it to the fishmonger. You can make upgrades to your boat at the dockyard thingy, so you can get new rods, and which allows you to fish in deeper water. You can get a dredging kit, which allows you to dredge certain places to get planks and bits of fabric and bits of treasure that's been left on shipwrecks over the years. There's lots of different islands to discover by taking your boat out to it. But interestingly, when it gets dark in the evening, so if you're out too long, because the time goes quite quick. If you're traveling to a little fish site, then the hours tick by quite quickly. And suddenly it's got dark and you're trying to make your way back home. And when it gets dark, this little eye looks at you at the top of the screen and it gets a bit scary and pulsating-y. And then different things pop out at you from the sea to get in your way. So you'll be driving along and suddenly a rock formation will just come out of the dark and try and smash your ship up. So interesting, lots of quests, lots of little tasks. You can find different things for different people and help different people do different things. It's quite interesting so far. Only 2 hours in, but very, very good. Quite unique-ish. Although David Dive is probably quite similar these days. Yeah, I definitely continue playing it. It's for free and it's good fun. So that's my little half an hour at the end of the day game at the moment.
Excellent. Yeah, it's been on my list for a while, and I did dabble in Dave the Diver as well sometime last year, I think, and enjoyed that. So looking out for that one. Awesome. Okay, well, our sub-club game for June now is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. It's a 2023 action-adventure platform video game developed by Team Reptile, which I don't know who they are, but that sounds awesome. I believe they're a smallish team. It's certainly not a sort of major developer who've done it. But they're clearly inspired by things like Jet Set Radio Future, I think it was Jet Grind Radio possibly in the States. So you skate around in a very stylish futuristic world, evading the law, tagging stuff with graffiti. It's one of PlayStation Plus's games for June, so on the basic subscription level, which I always forget is essential, I think.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have the more expensive subscription. You can play along with this, and it does look like that sort of shorter, more arcadey option. So what do you think, James? Like the look of this one?
Yeah, it looked good, doesn't it? I think the story is that there's different states and you can become all city by tagging graffiti stuff with your name in all 5 different sections of it. And the only one person that's done that so far died recently. So everyone's trying to rush in to take over the crown. I think you've been in jail and you escape with someone else, and then they tell you to join their graffiti crew and you start hitting the streets. So yeah, it sounds really badass, which is ideal for a 46-year-old man who's never sprayed anything in his life. So just escape from reality. Not a wall. That's like a video game should be: short, fun, very colourful, entertaining, and a bit of very much an escape from reality rather than our usual dark and dank and misery-filled, horrible games that we normally play.
Yeah, it feels like a real throwback. I was a big fan of the Sega Dreamcast back in the day, and that's where I discovered Jet Set Radio. I think that was the original. And it just, it feels like a simpler time. And after all those long, and seeing as we've still got some time to go, I think, on some of those longer games that we mentioned, that could be really good timing.
Yeah, so very much looking forward to that one. Whether it'll take 4 hours to finish it or whether we'll race for it in seconds, who knows? But we'll come back next month, having done our sub-club 4 hours, and let you know what we all thought. And if you want to have a go, obviously please do, and let us know how you got on, because like Giles said, it is free on the cheapest subscription service on the PlayStation. So give it a poke.
Excellent. You've raised an interesting question, which is if you do complete the game in less than 4 hours, I assume that we could just stop. We don't have to just play it again, but it hasn't come up yet, I don't think.
Just roll the credits for an hour, just watching it.
I suppose technically Stanley Parable, I think we probably both saw comments after about 10 minutes or something, didn't we?
Yeah, I gave that very shortly after in my case. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, that's absolutely fine. Well, it's been a busy month, as you will notice, listeners, because we've gone pretty long, but it's also a important month for gaming and a busy month in terms of news. So we did want to just rattle through some of the news of the moment. We are recording this just before Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest stream and a couple of days before the Xbox one, which we'll come to. But there's been plenty already to get our teeth into. James, did you see the GTA 6 trailer that came almost at the start of this month?
I did. I watched it last night before State of Play, actually, because it's just appeared on YouTube.
Nice.
Just appeared on our TV, actually. There's big PlayStation adverts on the top of our home screen of our TV at the moment for some reason. And anyway, GTA. Yeah, the trailer's very good, wasn't it? Very realistic looking. It seems to be a lady who leaves jail and a man who seems to like her, and they meet up and want to do some bad stuff together. And it seems to be the crux of the game. But the graphics look amazing. Obviously, they spent long enough doing it, so they should look amazing. I imagine it'd be quite a large download file size when it comes to the game finally coming out. Just about this time next year, isn't it now? May the 26th next year. So yeah, very much looking forward to it. No doubt be lots more trailers coming up at various stages and lots of gameplay demos. So looks awesome so far. But obviously I've never played more than the first half an hour of GTA 5 or 4. So I've not played a GTA properly for a long time. So I really need to before it comes out. So I've got a whole year to play GTA 3, 4 and 5.
Yeah, where to start? That's an interesting one. But I have played 4 and 5 to completion. Didn't ever get involved in the online shenanigans, but very much enjoyed the storyline of 4 is probably, I think, personally a bit stronger. But the GTA 5, you're sort of splitting your time between 3 protagonists, and that's quite fun because you get to see sort of different perspective of what's going on. But yeah, this one. More of a sort of Bonnie and Clyde story by the looks of it, if you're sort of giving film reference, and also interesting that a number of people have highlighted a lot of the time the protagonist in these games is male, so that's a step forward, I think, although if you're committing crimes, maybe not a step forward for womankind, but also...
At least they're not 15.
Yes, a fully grown woman, that's nice.
Yeah.
And also, it seems to be characters that maybe actually kind of care about other people, whereas again, a lot of the characters in GTA quite sort of nihilistic. So could be a bit. Maybe it's GTA going all warm and fuzzy. No doubt somewhere there's someone already recording a YouTube rant about how GTA's gone woke, but we will just laugh at those people, not because they're funny, because they're idiots. Number 2, Xbox is in a funny place. We've seen them raise the price of their console and game prices as well at a time when Sony has managed to not do so. It seemed to be a response to the sort of economic situation, but Sony has actually applied some discounts in their current sale, so that's a bit odd for a console that's certainly not doing very strongly. But in terms of their software, interesting, Xbox are now dominating game sales, albeit selling them on a PS5, with Gears of War and Hellblade also to come. We've had Forza, Horizon 5, which is the one set in Mexico, which has done very well. We've had Indiana Jones, we've had Oblivion remake, and obviously things like Minecraft and Call of Duty carry on. So I think Xbox was 5 of the top 10 selling games on PlayStation this month, which is a bit weird.
Yeah, it's gone in a weird direction, isn't it, kind of, over the last year or so. You always assumed that PlayStation and Microsoft would carry on their battles of the best and fastest consoles for many years to come, but then it might not be the case. It might be that Xbox go in one direction and PlayStation carry on pumping out new consoles and Xbox go in a different way, but obviously they're making loads of money out of selling games on the PlayStation format, so I guess there's no reason to stop.
Doing well for them, yeah, and we'll see what they have in store for us on Sunday, after which at some point in the next month or so we'll probably do a special on that, because I think that's quite an interesting topic.
Yeah, also Giles has written a little article on the website about the top 5 things he's looking forward to from the Xbox Game Showcase, which he likes to call the Summer Showcase, but it's definitely the Xbox Game Showcase for SEO purposes. So yeah, have a pop along to the website, www.axandgames.co.uk. No slashes, just straight on. And it'll be the top featured article on there is Giles's 5 things he's looking forward to from Sunday's broadcast.
Fantastic. Thank you, James, for plugging the article and for saving me from a coughing fit, although it's still here, so I'm probably going to have to do it again. What else have we got? We've seen a tech demo of The Witcher 4. I don't know if you saw that one. That also looks stunning. we had the state of play yesterday, which I know you had some opinions on.
Yeah, so State of Play I've never heard of before until last year when we started doing the podcast. And I made a point last year of actually watching them live, because that sounded quite exciting. A bit geeky, but quite a fun thing to do is look ahead and talk about stuff on a podcast. It sounds good. This time, it was always really advertised at the last minute, isn't it? It sort of advertised the day before it came on, and then it was at 10 o'clock at night in the UK. So I played football on a Wednesday evening, 5-a-side. I got home, had a bath in a nice new jetted tub. And by the time I got out of the bath, it was already started. So I watched it on repeat later in the evening, which was good. Some good games in there, but also there seems to be loads of sort of retro stuff on there. Lots of stuff with awful looking graphics from many years ago that people get really excited about, and I wasn't, because I like modern technology, so I like things looking really good and being really modern. Some real hits in there, and some things I had no interest in whatsoever. So I'll talk about a couple of the hits, if that's all right, while you're still sucking things in the background. So the big highlight for me was obviously Silent Hill F, which is, having played Silent Hill 2 very recently, Silent Hill F looks awesome. You still got some really weird looking monsters in the background, some of which look quite similar to some of the monsters in Silent Hill 2. But this time it's all kind of set in Japan, so it's got a very Japanesey type feel to it. So lots of Japanesey streets and buildings and flowers and that kind of stuff. And a Japanese female lead character, who's probably around 16, gets attacked by lots of monsters. She's still at school, so she's probably definitely 16. Very weird. Bowl haircut as well, bless her. So she faces lots of things around the streets, and it looks awesome. Some of the monsters look great. The graphics look amazing. The plot looks good. It looks really terrifying in parts as people are coming out with big knives and stab you in the neck. And it looks really great. So very much looking forward to that one coming out. I think it's coming out quite soon, actually, sometime like September. That one's coming out, so it's been built up for a while. I always like the State of Play because they have lots of Japanese developers come on talking in Japanese with subtitles, looking really enthusiastic about their products and having a great time. And they always look quite old, don't they? They always look like sort of in their late 40s, early 50s talking about gaming. I always find it quite fun and relatable. So that's my top pick from that one. Do you want to say what your top pick was and then we'll talk about another one?
Yeah, and a little window between coughs. Thank you, James. You're a trooper. Yes, I think I very much enjoy that. There's an expression that seems to come up as well, which is "please be excited," which I just love. I think that's there's a sort of element of innocence, but also of slight begging involved. If you get the pronunciation wrong, I'm sure in Japanese it sounds more natural, but in translation it looks a bit weird. Yeah, it was a sort of mixed bag for me. I pulled out a couple of interest. Luminous, which I'm reliably told is how you pronounce it, Arise. It's just a puzzle game, but it's basic sort of Tetris-like, except the bar sweeps left to right rather than you sort of complete levels bottom to top. But I used to love that game. In fact, I still do. I've got it on a number of platforms. It's really good until, annoyingly for someone who's colorblind, it gets to a level where I think it has yellow and green squares and I can't tell the difference. I always fail on that level. But it's quite fun if you're into your music and visuals. It's relatively basic, but it's an idea called synesthesia, where you're supposed to sort of get a little bit kind of trippy, essentially, with the visuals and with the sounds. You get into the zone, and they did Tetris Effect, which had a VR version and a flat screen version, which I played both of and really enjoyed. So Luminous is coming in the autumn, or the fall, if you're American and insist. Baby Steps was my weird choice.
Yeah.
Where you're controlling, I think, a grown-up man.
Yeah.
Although he seems to be walking much more like a baby, hence the name. So the challenge is just getting him to navigate his way around the world. I'm sure this is inspired by Death Stranding and Kojima's kind of walking simulator efforts. But as much as this looks like a weird and ridiculous game, and I think that's part of the appeal, it also is very highly thought of by Shuhei, who used to run PlayStation. He keeps going on about how fun it is. So my eyes on that one. And along with a couple of other little games which looked pretty, there was a thing called Hirogami, which had an origami sort of graphical style. I thought that looked nice.
Yeah, like that.
Thief VR, which is now confirmed to come to Quest as well as to PSVR, so I would have the chance to play that one. And FBC Firebreak, which is coming to both subscriptions very shortly, PlayStation and Xbox Game Pass. It's multiplayer, so I suspect that means neither of us will ever actually play it, but it's from Remedy and it's set in the Control and Alan Wake universe, which we're both big fans of. Alan Wake, certainly. I can't remember if you play Control, James, but...
Not yet. It's in my library, waiting to go, but will it ever come?
Okay.
Who knows?
So those are a couple for me. Any more from you before we move on?
Yeah, obviously the James Bond one. That was a very exciting looking one. Didn't even know it was coming. I know everyone else did, but I never knew it was coming. It's going to be called 007 First Light. And it sort of goes back in time to when James is first trying to get into the agency. So he's got no great background in it. So he looks quite young in it. Obviously, he's got some familiar looking characters in there. Obviously, you've got the tech in there. Lots of explosions, lots of racing around in cars and boats and fun stuff. And yeah, I thought it really, really good. Interestingly. It's not due out till next year. They said they've signed a license to do lots of James Bond stuff. So that's just going to be the first in a series of games similar to Indiana Jones by the look of it. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Obviously, it's a massive franchise over the years. Seems to still got some of the humour from the James Bond films in there and lots of the action. So it's very much Indiana Jones, but with a different face and in a different time frame.
Yeah, I think with a younger Bond, it had elements of Kingsman as well. Don't know if you watched those films. So I think it'll be really interesting. I was listening to another podcast, I know, sacrilege, earlier on. And they made the point, which I thought was quite interesting, was that the Bond franchise in films, I think, when they've recast James Bond, haven't, I think, been that kind of daring in who Bond is. And this feels like actually quite a radical reinvention, because it was always a bit weird when they cast Daniel Craig and then did his first film as his kind of earning his stripes as a 00 when he was already, decent age. So it'd be interesting to see a younger Bond and how that plays out, really. But yeah, from the developers of Hitman, they know what they're doing when it comes to spies and stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. And obviously Indiana Jones, they went for a young-looking Harrison Ford to make it feel more like the film. But obviously with so many Bonds over the years, they didn't choose to pick one. Could have gone for Sean Connery, couldn't they? Roger Moore, to make it really feel old. A young Sean Connery would have been perfect, wouldn't it? Because he looked like 100 years old in the first Bond film. Bless him. So yeah, looking forward to that one. Apart from that, a few odds and sods, but nothing majorly stood out. It's probably the most Japanese state of play I've watched, because literally every development team seemed to be Japanese on it, and every host was Japanese apart from the male-female combo that popped up for a couple of minutes, and the Frenchman from Team Asobi who talked about some more levels for whatever the game's called. What's the game called?
Straight Bot.
Yes, thank you. Fine.
Yeah.
I never forget that one. Jeez. But yeah, everyone else was Japanese, including they spent loads of time, didn't they, showing us that Marvel fighting game, that 4v4 Marvel something versus something else, Japanese name. And that was all in Japanese. The whole thing was Japanese. So fascinating, but not really my thing. So I'm not looking forward to that game particularly.
Yeah, one for the 2D fighting game sickos, that one, I think. The people who are into that absolutely love it. And there was a definite time where I'd enjoy that sort of game, but was never any good at it. Now I'm so bad at it that it's just not enjoyable anymore. So I think actually when we went away with you and Scotty and some of the others for sort of not a stag, didn't we play some Street Fighter? And I got my absolutely handed to me on a plate. So showed me it was time to retire from my 2D fight.
They used to be good at Street Fighter. I used to be good at Mortal Kombat. They got some new Mortal Kombat collection as well, weren't they? They advertised well, but again, not that exciting. It looked like it did 25 years ago. What's that? Blimey. The other things I mentioned, there's a new PlayStation controller for fighting games. That seemed fascinating. Big rectangular piece of plastic with lots of buttons on it and a stick. That looks interesting. And also, in the current days of play, there's lots of good things in the sale. As Charles mentioned, Xbox have ramped their prices up, but PlayStation have cut theirs, bizarrely, which makes no sense at all by comparison. But also controllers are down to 45 quid at the moment for the next week. So if you do need a new PlayStation controller in various colours, they're only £45 at the moment, apart from the special edition ones, which are obviously still a load of money. But if you want a new controller, reach out.
Nice. That is, what, are you going to supply it?
No. I tempted to buy one today. I've got a £100 gift voucher from Christmas to spend at John Lewis. And I was in there and they had that nice bright indigo blue one. I was like, oh, that's really tempting. But I looked on the website, there's loads of colours. especially that Chroma collection. I like the most. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting fantasizing my controllers. That's a bit sad. Say something else that doesn't involve that.
It's a slippery slope, I think. I know, yeah, I'm certainly aware of people who end up with a massive collection of those things, and they do not stop releasing cool colours. So once you start down that route, you're doomed. No, I think that's it. Switch is on sale. Switch 2, excuse the cough, listeners, but we've already spoken about that. If you didn't hear our special, please do go and check it out. I hope anyone who got hold of one is enjoying it. We are both going to be sometime, if ever, I think, before we jump in. So listen to the special for why on that. And otherwise, looks like there's a lot of games coming out, which is handy, unless you've got a massive backlog and never get to those either. But I had a couple to call out. I can see you do as well, James. The one I really wanted to talk about was Rematch on Game Pass, because this is a football game, which is 5-on-5, but you control the single player. It's not like you're switching between players. It's online again, multiplayer. So again, probably not the sort of thing that you or I would typically play.
Full of bad
it's from the developers of Sifu, which was a brilliant martial arts game, which hit PlayStation a while ago and Xbox fairly recently. And the online playtests for this game Rematch are really, really good. And I think if anything was going to tempt me into online play rather than like a competitive shooter or something, actually a 5-on-5 football game where you all just control one player, that might be the solution to my retiring from real life football. Maybe I'll give that a go. So that's one on my list, which I'm looking forward to. Anything to pick off your shortlist for this month, or things that are added to subscription?
Loads on Game Pass. EA Sports FC's 25 is coming out. Just keep on the football theme. I always play those every year, and I always play it as Giles just described, as just playing one person rather than the whole team. So you can do that in career mode, player career mode. You're just one player, and you play for the whole career in whatever position on the pitch you choose to stand in. So yeah, I always quite enjoy that. So that sounds quite fun with a Rematch thingy. So that's coming out soon. A couple of other things on the Game Pass. Crash Bandicoot 4 is coming on Game Pass. Never played Crash Bandicoot 4 yet. I'm sure it's going to be fun. Obviously, that was an old Naughty Dog game, wasn't it? Crash Bandicoot? No, that's something else, wasn't it? What was that? What was it? Oh, it was. All right. Blimey, that's all right. Bizarre. Yeah, so
You're right. Sorry, James. You might remember that I recently played the first game via the Insane remastered and found that game infuriating. And apparently, number 4 is harder. So I'm going to save my blood pressure. It sounds good, but not for me. I'm gonna stay chill and let someone else enjoy that one. Okay, James, back to you.
I was also looking at the past. There's Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, the definitive edition coming out on Game Pass as well. Never played any of the Baldur's Gates. Don't know if you have.
No. I think I've got them both through Epic or something similar on my ROG Ally. But no, it'll be interesting after Clair Obscur, actually, because it has made me sort of think, oh, actually, maybe I should broaden my horizons when it comes to RPGs and stuff. And apparently the lore in that is very good. I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 was a lot of people's game of the year, wasn't it, a couple of years ago? But I think if you go back, however enhanced those versions are of 1 and 2, I think it's a different experience and probably the sort of thing that if you're new to the series, maybe you read up on the story and then jump in at 3, which is supposed to be a really good game.
Yeah, I think Baldur's Gate 2 came out in 2000, so that's like 25 years old already. So yeah, bizarre. The first one came out in 96, I believe, when I read it earlier. The last thing on Game Pass is a game called The Alters. So it's like you're kind of in space trying to do some things. You're one character, but you've got some strange bit of kit, which means you can clone yourself from different stages in your development, bizarrely. So I think there can be 5 versions of you teaming up, and you can each achieve different things in this space exploration type thing. So that looks interesting. Not my kind of thing particularly, but I thought it looked interesting, so I mentioned it. That's my Game Pass ones. Anything else for you on Game Pass?
Not Game Pass. I mentioned FBC Firebreak is on both of them this month and Rematch. I think PlayStation Plus, just as well as our Game of the Month, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Alone in the Dark, the recent entry into the series. Didn't get great reviews. It is a bit clunky, but same was said for the previous reboot that they did, which I quite enjoyed. I like a little spooky survival horror, so that one's probably for me. And then not for me, but just rounding off what I think is a really strong month on PS Plus Essentials. NBA 2K25 if you're into your basketball and your microtransactions, and Destiny 2, The Final Shape. There's quite a recent expansion on Destiny. It's pretty good value from PS Plus this month. And what I did think is, I'm sure there's very few people who want to play all 4 of those games, but that's a real good spread of games. There's got to be something there that people want to play, unless you're particularly grumpy. So I just think it's a good month.
Yeah, better than some of the recent ones, which have been awful. So Alone in the Dark was one of Sarah's favourite games when she was little, so we'll be keen on playing that one together. See if it's any graphically better than it was back in whenever it was, 90s.
And yeah, well, it stars the guy from Stranger Things, but also Jodie Comer.
Yeah.
I know we're all big fans of. So yeah, I'll be there for the accents, if nothing else. And
everyone's a big fan of Jodie Comer. I'm also on PlayStation. Obviously, you've got Skull and Bones coming out, which is like a quadruple A game, wasn't it, when it came out? Be interesting. Never did particularly well, did it, at the time? The reviews weren't massively stellar, but I'd like to give it a go to see what a quadruple A game looks like and see how much better it is than a triple A game or a double A or a single A game, just like batteries. On the theme of GTA 3 Definitive Edition is coming out on PlayStation Plus as well, so we could do a good bit of catch up on that one. Battlefield 5 is coming out, which is a World War II game, sort of a follow-up to Battlefield 1. I do like World War II type games over the years. I prefer the Call of Duty World War II game than all the rest of the Call of Duty, so I'll definitely play that one. And finally, in the classics part, which is on the premium collection part of the subscription service, you've got Mist and Riven. So I've never played Mist or Riven, but they're both meant to be classics and awesome back in the day. But what they look like in a sort of a more remastered modern version, I don't know.
Yeah, and we did talk last month when we were talking about game blueprints that you liked a puzzle game that was more linear and from one thing to the next. So maybe there'll be more your pace.
And again, perfect for me and Sarah, who like puzzle games together, but ones that you can complete and move on to the next part and forget about the last part. So that was it. That's my PS Plus ones. Unless you got anything different, but there's lots to look forward to, isn't there?
There really is, and we usually. I didn't say this month that we would keep it under an hour, so I'm very pleased with myself. First time I think in about ever that I've not said it, but this month really feels like it needed that extended episode because there's so much going on, and as we said, coming up the day that this drops, there's the Summer Game Fest stream. This coming Sunday is the Xbox Games Showcase, as you rightly corrected me. And no doubt there'll be more news and more events. So keep an eye out on our stream for any specials. Join us next month. We can tidy you up on anything you missed.
Yeah, I'm sure the listeners are delighted to be tidied up in the near future.
Yeah, I was patch you up. That's what my brain said. But tidy up loose ends. Anyway, welcome to the unedited version of the podcast, everybody. Well, with that wonderful quality content, I think that probably wraps up the show for Gene. Please remember to like and subscribe to the podcast and consider giving us a 5-star review. It really does help push us up those searches. Please do check out that article that we put up on 5 things I want from the Xbox Showcase. But also, we've got a great review of Silent Hill 2 that James did recently. And there's a bit of a sort of edited transcript of the Nintendo special if you would prefer to read and not listen. So check out the website. Look out for our State of Xbox special dropping hopefully next month, sometime between this and next show. Keep an eye on our socials. And why not come over and interact with us on social media? We're at Aches and Games on most things, Facebook page or email achesandgamespod@gmail.com. I'm Giles Nicholson, Giles West on most things. How about you, James?
Yeah, it's very comprehensive, Giles. It's down to 10% of my battery left, so not much more I can say. But like Giles said, pop along to the website. The Silent Hill review is amazing. And I'm also halfway through knocking out an Atomfall review as well. So if you're excited about that one, then yeah, pop along and have a look along with all our old reviews and all. You can also see all our streams on there as well. You can watch all the videos and listen to everything on there. So it's really is a one-stop shop for everything you'd never want to see about Aches and Games. Wonderful. So yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. I'm James Hopes, James Wood 1978. on PlayStation Network. You have to laugh on socials. If you want to see my holiday photos from Mallorca, please befriend me on Facebook and pop along to Instagram and see how it all went. 'Cause it's great fun. Nice to see you all. Nice to see that Giles' coughing stopped temporarily. So we're end on that point, I think.
Yeah, thanks for bearing with us with all the coughs and the throat sweets and things. I'm sure that some of that came through the mic, but we got there in the end, James. We did it. Another episode in the bag.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Take care. Bye-bye.